The only thing I told the leadership is that I'm going to try. There has to be the first Indigenous person to try to be prime minister. And told people before there was a Premier Wab Kinew, there was an Elijah Harper. Before there was a President Barack Obama, there was a Jesse Jackson. You have to have that first person willing to put their hand up and try, even if the odds are stacked against them. It's important to take those first steps, even if the road you're paving is for future generations.
Oh, Mr. Battiste, how you doing? David Menzies with Rebel News.
I can't do anything.
Can you explain your comments about Native women being on crystal meth or pills if they're skinny?
No comment. I've already addressed it, and moving on. People want to talk about healthcare. People want to talk about environment. People want to talk about Indigenous issues.
Let's talk about Liberal MP Jaime Battiste and his audacious bid to replace Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as the leader of the Liberal Party and eventually the Canadian Prime Minister. Battiste, who represents the riding of Sydney, Victoria in Nova Scotia, has been just one racist bozo eruption after another. And now he sees himself as a suitable candidate to lead not just his party, but potentially our entire country. The irony is so perfectly Liberal. I mean, it's just like his boss, Justin Trudeau, who did blackface so many times he lost count, but the rest of us are the systemic racists, I guess. To learn more about Battiste and the other Liberals vying to replace Justin Trudeau as the leader of the Liberal Party and ultimately as a short-lived footnote in the history of Canada's list of prime ministers, visit meettheliberals.com. Now, for those unfamiliar, Jaime Battiste made headlines back in 2019 when he was running as a Liberal Party MP for a series of posts described as sexist, racist, and homophobic. I'll let you decide for yourself. In 2019, the Toronto Sun archived many of Battiste's more controversial posts. Now, in one post, there's a photo of Battiste and his friends pulled over by the RCMP for having open liquor in their vehicle, something Battiste describes as funny. Battiste also quotes a Christmas Story scene where Chinese waiters sing Christmas carols in broken English. And for a Liberal Party that can't seem to shut up about feminism, Battiste doesn't seem like much of a feminist himself, noting his bros are all too busy talking beer, broads, and hockey on WhatsApp to tweet. Battiste also threatens to sexually assault a cougar twice, and he repeatedly refers to women in posts by the C word. Battiste joked about methamphetamine use, saying that skinny Indigenous women could be meth users, and he proudly wore a t-shirt with the communist logo when he was at the gym. Battiste said men's tennis reminded him of gay porn. I don't know if that is true, since I neither watch men's tennis nor gay pornography, like I assume Jaime Battiste does. But Battiste brushed these comments off with the usual Liberal tactic, perfected by his boss, Justin Trudeau, a half-hearted apology, claiming that he's learned and grown.
Oh, Mr. Battiste, how you doing? David Menzies with Rebel News.
I can't do anything.
Can you explain your comments about Native women being on crystal meth or pills if they're skinny?
No comment. I've already addressed it, and moving on. People want to talk about healthcare. People want to talk about environment. People want to talk about Indigenous issues.
But were you sorry for the comments you made, sir, or were you sorry that you got caught?
Absolutely, I was sorry.
Okay.
And I've said that in the media. I've made the reports about this. I've actually, on the debate, was the first part of what I talked about.
Do you think you've been forgiven because Justin Trudeau's record of late with the blackface and brownface is so egregious? No, Mr. Battiste, I'm happy to come back later if this is a bad time. Okay. What about sexually assaulting cougars twice?
Thank you very much.
It's the same tired excuse we've seen time and time again from Liberal politicians who get caught saying what they really think when they believe no one is watching. And now this man, who has demonstrated poor judgment and a lack of basic respect for others, thinks he's the right person to unite Canadians. Well, we all know that's not true, but he's exactly like Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in that regard. The media, of course, predictably has been gentle in their critiques of Battiste, accepting his lukewarm denunciation of his so-called former self and letting him lean into his Indigenous heritage. Now, can you imagine if a Conservative MP had a similar history, the pitchforks would be out and CBC would be running exposés 24/7. But because Battiste wears the Liberal red and because he checks a lot of identity boxes these people seem to care about, he gets a pass. The hypocrisy is glaring. It's reminiscent of Justin Trudeau's own scandals, like the aforementioned propensity for blackface and his groping of a female reporter years ago in British Columbia while simultaneously claiming to be a feminist. Trudeau is forgiven and even re-elected, proving that, again, racism is often excused or glossed over within the Liberal Party if the offender wears the right color. That color, of course, is red. Battiste's record as an MP is far from inspiring. He's a staunch supporter of Trudeau's reckless spending and overreaching censorship, rubber-stamping policies that have burdened Canadians with skyrocketing inflation and eroded our freedoms. Trudeau's popularity is in free fall, and the Liberals know they need a new face to carry their crumbling, unpopular platform. But if Jaime Battiste is their answer, then they're even more out of touch than we thought, if that is even possible. Battiste's candidacy is a reminder of everything that's wrong with the Liberal Party: a lack of accountability, a refusal to address their own failures, and an unrelenting arrogance that assumes Canadians are stupid, that Canadians will blindly follow their lead and suffer from short memories. Canadians are waking up to the Liberal charade, and no amount of rebranding with flawed candidates like Battiste will change that. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. The Liberal Party of Canada is hoping that Canadians have short memories and that the bought-off media will be kind, but not here at Rebel News. We're here to remind you of all the terrible things the candidates vying to replace Justin Trudeau have done and said over the years. To learn more about the candidates who want to be the next Prime Minister of Canada and to get involved, please go to meettheliberals.com.